Well, as promised, we are back. We've switched platforms, and now Barnabas is going to be able to share all of his information with us, so you won't get ripped off at all. You're going to get the full show 100%. Barnabas, thanks for hanging in there, folks. Thanks for hanging in there. And with that, I'm going to turn the reins back to Barnabas Nagy as he talks about 1,000 years of missing history. And Jeanette Korzinko, thanks for hanging in there. You're the first one back in the chat room. Barnabas, take it away.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to share my desktop now. Okay, so share. Can you see?
Yep, I see the same thing we saw when it was just you and me.
Okay, cool. So so the way I got into this is I saw a video obviously by someone else, and then I made my own research. And some of these people are cartographers, and it's very fascinating because you can see at the bottom the date. And this is J574, and I think you might have been talking about this on your channel, didn't you?
I did. I talked about it just a little bit, and just so people know, a cartographer is a person that makes a map, right?
That's right. Yeah. So the idea here is that why do they put J instead of 1, right? In front of the 574. And the hypothesis is that it's because of Jesus, right? The person who never existed, and we believed it for so many years.
Right.
And yeah, so it's not actually 1,000. It's just J. It's after Jesus, 574. So it's pretty simple. You know, you
and
can.
Didn't they also do I's as well, Barnabas?
Yeah, and they also do X for Christ. For Christ, yeah.
Oh, right, for the Kairos or Kyros or whatever, yeah.
Yeah. So that's that. Here's another one, just so that we can find it here as well. There we go. This is an I, as you can see.
Yeah.
I-589.
And we have a researcher that watches our channel a lot named Nigel. And he's got, I think it's called the Devil's Playground channel. And he's kind of the first one that put me onto this. When he first sent me this stuff, Barnabas, about the I, the J, I'm like, he's got to be crazy, but he's not crazy.
No, he isn't crazy. And actually, he is, he's regularly emailing me. He's also a subscriber to my channel. And he was also on my show. So
excellent. But let's just make sure we clarify. Nigel's not crazy about this. He might be crazy about something else.
Yeah, I mean, we all of us are a little bit crazy about something, aren't we? Yeah. So as you can see here, this is definitely not a number one. And so you have to question, why did they put I, or why did they put J in front of the 589 or whatever number it is? And the only assumption we can come up with is that it is because of Jesus. Now, Jesus in Greek, the original manuscript, ESOs, right?
Right, because there was no J.
That's right. So that's why it is I, and then they talked about J, and of course then J came into play as well. So yeah, that was the cartographer Abraham Ortelius. But I'm going to show you some more here. There we go. Here's one, I-656. And this is from an old book. And August Ludwig von Schlözer, I think this was also a cartographer here, as you can see. This is very clear. You can see the I, even the dot is on the top,
it is.
right?
And when you start, it's one of those things that you don't notice until you do notice, and then you can't unsee it.
Yeah, you can't unsee it as well. Like what the fuck, you know, like this can't be a number one. That's for sure.
But we've all been taught, Barnabas, that means 1730, not I-730, not I-798. It's 1798.
Yeah. And today it is 1020, basically.
Right. Instead of thinking that it's 2020 like we all believe it is, it really might be 1020. I'm convinced that it probably is, and I can't believe I'm hearing myself say that.
Yeah, 1020.
It's 1020. It's the craziest thing ever.
Yeah. So again, here it is, another I598. And then let's go further. Nicolaus van Gilkerken, I guess this is also a cartographer. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but yeah, you can say here the J587.
Yep.
Yeah. And let me show you, there are 2 more examples here.
Yeah, you can't show too much of this. People need to see that it's all over the place.
Yeah. Okay, so let me check where this is. There we go. I492. I492.
Oh, that's 1492. Isn't that when Columbus sailed the ocean blue?
Yeah. Yeah, if he ever did.
If
That's
he
the
ever
question.
did.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Petrus Plancius, I guess.
Yeah.
Not sure about the
And,
pronunciation.
just looking at this, it's amazing that maps used to really be works of art.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's full of illustration, and they took the time, to draw it. It was hand drawn, it seems.
Yeah.
Again,
So,
you can see the
with
side.
all of that detail and all of that work and all of that craftsmanship, they didn't just accidentally put an I or a J. It's certainly planned, it's certainly premeditated, and it's certainly
Yeah.
there and demonstrably for a reason, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, I mean, it can be a mistake, right? Because we see it time and time again, and these people really took the time to make it an art. So
Right.
you put lots of effort into drawing all that, and then you make a mistake. Oh, I don't think that works like that.
Barnabas, not to get off the subject and down another path, but have you seen any Earths that, or any maps that depict the flat Earth that have dates on them?
That's a good question. I don't remember.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to look at.
Yeah, I could have a look at it, but I'm not sure if
Sure,
I could
maybe we'll
find it
talk
now.
about that some other
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, okay. So that's pretty much where I got started onto this path, and then later on, I got into looking at some other bits and pieces, and that was, for instance, let me see here. Yeah, let me show you this, because you are also into Christianity, right?
Absolutely.
So okay, so Revelation 20. I'm sure you know this. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but Satan is bound for 1,000 years. Oh, so you were talking about 1,000 years missing, and Satan is bound for 1,000 years. What a coincidence, you know?
It is. Did you happen to catch the show I did about that? And I went to that very same thing.
No,
Yeah, we're right on the same path.
that's cool. That's cool, man. Yeah, so that was that. And what did you come up with? Did you also connect with the 1,000 years missing?
Well, again, I'm this is my first time down this path, and it's not really my my strong point. I'm sort of a one-trick pony, but I saw that the J's and the I's were there. It was different. I saw that there's this discrepancy of 1,000 years. I remember the Bible specifically talking about 1,000 years and Satan. And then I went back to the Gregorian calendar and kind of figured from the point that they started the Gregorian calendar would have been a very convenient time for them to
Yeah.
make the change. And if you make the change, it covers what they call the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages, the Medieval Ages, which were really, if you look back at it, probably the greatest expansion of human thought, human realization, human divinity, sovereignty, and freedom. So it'd be a great 1,000 years for them to ignore.
Yeah, or something that haven't happened. It was great.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, so here's a couple of more things, like coins that was sent by someone else. Again, you can see the I here,
Oh, that's
I659.
beautiful.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if all of it is like that, but I'm going to click through a couple of them. Again, you can see I650 and I682. And here I638. So
Amazing.
yeah, it's all over the place. It's not just maps. It's on coins. It's on paintings. It's in books. I-650. You can see.
Billy Zig, who's a great researcher, author of the book The Elusive Curve, I think it's called. He brings out that there's a Queen song that talks about magic and 1,000 years of a magic rule too. So it's we see it ubiquitously throughout culture.
Oh yeah. I haven't heard about that, but I can imagine that's the case. Yeah. So that's about the coins, and I showed you the Revelation thing. Then the next thing, what was really interesting for me is ancestry timelines. You know there's
Ancestry
this.
timelines. This ought to be great.
Yeah, you know there's the ancestry.com
Right.
kind of website where you can send your DNA sample and they spit out the information. And interestingly, someone sent me his ancestry timeline, and they said, when I click on it, it doesn't show anything earlier than 1800.
Really?
Yeah, and I then was skeptical about this, so I just Googled ancestry timelines, and I see time and time again that people showed their ancestry timelines, and I can see nothing before 1700.
That's
So
amazing.
that's the earliest you can see 1700. Let's click on the next one, 1700 here as well. 1700. So you've got to ask the question, why is it that they don't have information before 1700s? They certainly have written documents, right?
Yes.
We were told that they had printing, they had books, they had they certainly had pen and paper. So why is that they don't have information about the DNA, right?
And
Or
this goes
some
to your point of it might have been even more than 1,000 years.
exactly. So yeah, that's ancestor timelines. And I watched another video from someone else who was talking about the cemetery, and that made me think, the cemetery, what you can find in cemetery, the tombs.
Okay.
So I wanted to show you some tombstones, because
This would be good.
that's where it gets really, really interesting. So
Are you going to tell me there's I's and J's on tombstones?
oh yeah, of course there is.
Oh my.
Yeah.
This I haven't gone to. This is fascinating stuff.
Okay, so this is from newengland.com, America's oldest cemetery, the Miles Standish Cemetery in Dawsburg. I guess it's Massachusetts, or MA?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is apparently the oldest cemetery in America, and you can see 1777 here, 1632. It's here. It's actually it's one.
Right.
But what is interesting here is that 1632. Oh no, this is First Minister, site of First Church. This is site of First Church. It's not a tombstone.
Oh, interesting. It's a marker, historical marker.
Yeah, let me just go to the image I have here. Yeah, so I think the Miles Standish, I couldn't find the earliest tombstone here, but they said something like it was 1632 or something, like what we have seen, 1632. And but the earliest I found through my research, and I really did lots of searching, like hours and hours, is this one. And I think this is also in America. Now you can see here, this is kind of like a one, but it could be also I.
It could. It looks like an I.
Yeah, but it's like 1625, right?
Right.
And like, honestly, like I couldn't find anything earlier than that. So I was like, why is it that there are no dead people before 1625? People didn't have carving skills, didn't have stone. I mean, certainly we have the pyramids, right? And the megaliths and all those Tartarian buildings we talked about before. And they didn't, and we can't find any tombstones before, so that that is very weird, and when you
Very,
when
very odd.
and when you know that there are thousands of dead bodies and not bodies, skeletons, for instance, in Paris, in the catacombs,
Right.
um, and 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 researchers find in the ground, cemeteries and burial grounds and things like that. You want to connect these two things with the mud flood, right? So that probably the previous reset was covering it up with mud, and so that's why we don't see any tombstones, because it's all covered up with mud. That's
Oh,
actually
good point.
my idea. But I tried to also ask my subscribers, to find something earlier than this, and they couldn't. That's the earliest.
So 1632 or 1625 or whatever that
1625.
is.
Yeah.
So death did not exist before 1625, Barnabas.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's funny as it is.
So, I
I
mean, I'm sure you're probably getting to this, but probably a lot of people are asking, why remove or hide 1,000 years in history or whatever number of years it is?
Well, it's a good question. I think it's probably hiding the fact that there were some resets and probably mud flood or whatever it is, whether it was a Noah's flood or I don't mind what how we call it, but there was some sort of cultural and civilization reset. That's I'm quite certain about, and I think that's what they are trying to hide, because they had to make up lots of things, right? Like
Right.
most of history as we know it, what we learn in school, must be just a joke, Someone just
It has to be. It has to be.
yeah,
There's no doubt about it.
yeah. Someone just sat down. And I'm like, I'm going to write a good novel. Maybe they're going to buy it, and writing about wars and famines and everything.
It just doesn't make any sense. And when you say a reset, what do you actually mean by that word reset?
Oh, reset. So it's something that you do like to your computer or your phone. It's basically you click the reset button or the on off button, and then basically it's restart the whole
Right. Okay.
system. So the earth and the world, I believe, is kind of like a system controlled from above, just like in a Truman Show. And I think they just restarted the whole system. That means everyone who was living there, or probably most of the people in a certain generation, were, they were killed, and probably some kids or some younger adults were kept for the next population.
Wow. Now, do you think these are done at a regular interval and by control, or is it more haphazard?
Some people believe that it is a natural phenomena and it happens regularly, but I don't subscribe to that theory. I rather believe this is rather when people reach a certain level of enlightenment. And I mean me and you and all the other, truth seekers out there,
Right.
who are listening to the show as well. When the controllers see that we are to that level, then maybe they are like, it's gotta be the time,
I got you. Do you have a sense, or I don't want to say worry, you don't look like a guy that worries, but are you concerned that they might possibly be thinking of planning a new reset?
Oh yeah, I definitely think that it's boiling, but I don't know when is it going to happen, and I'm not really, as I said, I'm not really in fear of this. And for when we talk about the controllers, we can talk about also God, because God is
Right.
kind of like the symbol of the controllers. And the Bible also says, for God, 1,000 years is like, a day. So
And a day
for
is like
us,
1,000
for
years.
me, yeah, for me, it could be like maybe another 30 years. And for them, whatever, it's just
But
another
it's
day.
interesting even then, and that was another one of the verses that caught my eye, is just, supposedly just metaphorically, just, as a way of a literature analogy, he just happens to pick 1,000 years is like a day, and a day is like 1,000 years
Oh, yeah, there you
with the
go.
Lord, who is demonstrably the controller God of this matrix.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's you can't make that stuff up, can you?
Yeah, that's nothing to see here. Just move along. It's just a coincidence, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I want to show you a couple of more links here because
Absolutely.
you know.
And while you're pulling those up, let me ask you a question that's completely
Yeah.
off the rails. But there's a
Sure.
certain group of people that claims that they're God's chosen people, and a lot of
Uh-huh.
us have said, "Oh, that can't be true. God loves everybody." But I think I came up with this independently. Actually, I started saying maybe this group of people that claims to be God's chosen people really is, but they're the chosen people of the fallen, failed God of this matrix, and not the real God.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I was entertaining that idea myself actually. So it's interesting that you are talking about that. I think that the chosen people are probably the servants of that entity,
Absolutely, I would agree
whatever
with you
it is.
100%.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So and we who are not subscribing to that idea, we are not in touch with that entity. We are the outsiders. We are the non-chosen ones, probably the
Absolutely.
goyim, the goyim.
Would you say we're the virus in some sense?
Yes. Yeah. I'm sure that you watched the movie The Matrix.
Yes.
Yeah. So in the first episode, there's a scene where Morpheus is captured by the agents, and Agent Smith is interrogating Morpheus. Now that's when the agent says to Morpheus that you are like a virus.
Exactly.
Humankind is like a virus to them. So he is representing, the servant of God, the chosen people, and they think of us like a virus, has to be killed.
Ooh. And if you read literature from that group of chosen people, it's very much like that we are servants at best, and really
Oh
kind
yeah.
of a nuisance, and a virus is a great example of it.
Hmm. Yeah, it's like basically those people use the word goyim, I guess. I think we know
Right.
we are talking about. Yeah.
And that's not a very nice word.
No, it's not.
I think about this too, and this is U.S. politics, and you said that a lot of times people, we get woke up and we get stirred up, and they just want to reset the whole thing. And it reminds me a little bit of, we had our State of the Union address, and I don't really want to get into politics, and it's not never cut and dry as we think it is. But you've got President Trump, who at least is making a show of trying to break power and break the news media and kind of
Hmm.
change things. And he gives this State of the Union address, and she stands up right behind him at the end of it while everybody's still watching her, and just tears the speech in half, almost emblematic of, we need to reset this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, even like an impeachment could be a reset,
It
like a
could be,
sign
and
of
that's
respect.
interesting. And this was the third impeachment in 250 some odd years. You don't think,
Hmm.
when do you think the last actual reset might have occurred?
Well, that's actually interesting. Was it really 250 years?
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, because these graveyards, um, and they show 1600. So you take out 250, 300 years, from where we are now. You're kind of there. You need
It's
maybe like
amazing.
you need a little bit of a padding, like maybe 50 years of regenerating the population. You're pretty much there.
That's crazy stuff. It just opens up all types of speculations and all types of implications, and it gives us another reason to start questioning what we've always been told. And I think that's I'm going to have James True on. I think we're going to talk to him tomorrow, and he made a
Mhm.
statement in one of his books that says the the thing that we have to really start doing is, no matter what we hear, and no matter whom we hear it from, the first thing that has to come to our mind is it true?
Yeah,
Is it true?
yeah.
Not, oh, this is true. That's what we do, and that's what's wrong. We need to start saying, is it true? Whether Barnabas is saying it, or Jeff is saying it, or anybody else is saying it, is it true?
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I like to tell my subscribers as well, that just because I say it doesn't mean that this is how it is. You have to make your own research and use your common sense. Because I am fallible, I can make mistakes as well. But
Absolutely.
yeah, we were taught so many lies in schools that and from the media that's basically whatever I hear nowadays is just like I have to question it.
School is nothing but at least in the United States, a mandatory 12-year indoctrination period.
It is.
No
Well,
doubt.
I mean, it is in Hungary as well. The same
And
thing.
let me tell you, I was on Coast to Coast AM Tuesday night, and this goes to what we're talking about. We're talking to, at least 1 million people. And George Norrie, whether you like George or hate George, he's been doing this for a long, long time. And he said to me, because the callers were coming in, they were being really nasty. George Norrie said, I've been doing this a long time, Jeffrey. And he said, I have never seen people as angry as they are now, unable to have any type of a disagreement, unable to have any type of a discussion. It used to be able, you could disagree respectfully, but he says it's gone and he's never seen anything like it. How would you comment to that?
Well, I think, I'm also into healthy eating and nutrition. And I think that has to be to do with that, because when people eat store food and junk food, that affects the brain and affects your thinking and everything, the whole system, the whole body. And when you drink Coke, that dissolves even the bone and things like that, it's not going to do good. So if people eat junk food, junk drinks, soda and stuff like that, it's definitely going to affect the brain. Not even talking about chemtrails and all the other toxins that they put into the, like the municipal water. Many times it's recycled. You have all the hormones in there. It's not fresh water. Then you have the chemtrails. Then you have pollution. All these things come together, and it creates a human being that is not really a human being anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
If you can't think critically and you accept what you are told, you basically lose what really makes you a human being.
Yeah. And please give us your YouTube channel name so people can go there and subscribe.
Oh, yeah. So that's just my name, Barnabas Nagy. So if you type that in, you'll find it.
Yeah, please go and subscribe. And you said something important there, and I forgot what I was going to comment on, but let's go ahead and continue on with your presentation.
Okay, cool. Well, just a couple of more links where you can see, the same thing. This guy thought that he found the oldest tombstone, which is 1644. Again, nothing earlier than that. And then let's check here if there's
craziness.
This is from England. I667. That's a nice 6. Yeah. So that's in England. And interesting, there's a group on Flickr that really fascinated me. And people take the time to go out and photograph the oldest tombstones that they can find. Graves, tombs, and cemeteries. And it has I don't know how many. Yeah, it has 45,000 members. Imagine.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I went through a couple of these. I went through all of it actually, but nothing earlier than 1625. So
does that say 625?
Yeah, I69.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, and here we can say J734.
Yep.
Yeah, J728. You see, so the I and J is not only pictures, not only cartographers, everywhere. It's even on tombstones.
And I mean, I could hear somebody making the argument, oh, well, that's really a 1. They just kind of slipped and made the tail longer. But when your car, and I've actually, believe it or not, I've actually had a job before where I made headstones, and you don't slip, you don't make a mistake. This is something that is done with great intention. So that is a J, ladies and gentlemen. It almost looks like there's a period after the J too. Well, no, that was just on the stone, but it's a J.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a J. And I think those people, back to what you brought up, most people, the people have the biggest problem with these subjects are the people who think they are professionals in a certain area. Like, let's say they are historians. And you tell them that there's a J and an I and 1,000 years missing, and they say bullshit. So those people who studied something and they think they are pros, they are the experts. I think they have the hardest time accepting any of this.
I definitely agree with you. And that's why it seems to me that people that really study, people that are really learning, people that are really growing, the more that you know, the more that you think you know, the less you know. And the more that you do know, you realize there's so much more that you do need to know.
Yeah, exactly. It somewhat makes you biased. So that's why I actually like to think that those people who don't have an expertise in a subject, they have a better insight if they want to,
They
find
do.
out
They don't
what's
have
going on.
to unlearn a bunch of crap.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Fascinating
interesting. You
stuff.
can see here a heart.
I see that. Yeah. And it looks like an hourglass. That kind of caught
Yeah,
my eye too.
yeah. It's funny. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I can show you here. We can go through all the tombstones, but you know, I can send you the links and you can put it into the video description, and everyone can look for themselves. But truly, what you can do in your own time and own pace is go to your own graveyard cemetery and just try to find the oldest tombstone, and then argue with that. If you want to argue.
I'm definitely going to start doing that for sure. And then the thing I'm sitting here thinking about is, there's a lot of people and a lot of my friends that are very much into numerology and very much into numbers. And we say a lot of things and we base a lot of things upon numerology. And sometimes it seems like it's working out and sometimes it doesn't. But if changing from 2020 to 1020, that's got to change some things numerologically, you would think.
Hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, I was also into numerology a little bit, and it makes you think that what we were thinking, whether that's really true, and maybe
Exactly.
they are using the correct number that we don't know.
And maybe what this number that we think we're getting is a programming of us, and it's not really. They've even used what we consider numerology. Oh, this is our secret. Well, maybe they're actually using our secret against us. And I think the same thing about gematria. Gematria is based a lot on numbers. What if these numbers aren't right? Is the gematria itself even taking us
Hmm.
down the path they want us to go? And is it a time for reformation within numerology and in gematria?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's probably all of these are some sort of software, like a screensaver.
Yep.
That's how I can imagine it, or like games, and
Yep.
they give us some games we can play with, and they are laughing their ass off
Yeah,
whilst
I
watching
call
it.
it faux enlightenments. They don't just have truth and then lost in truth or lost in error and then woke. It's not that easy. There's steps. That you think you fight your way through this one layer. Oh, I found the truth. No, not
Mhm.
really. You've just come a little bit less out of error, and you got to keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. But everybody seems to want to camp. I found the truth. I
Oh yeah.
understand it all. I'm the person that has all the answers, and you want to camp there, and then people want to follow you, and my goodness, no, you got to keep going.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was one of those people, so I know what
Me
I'm.
too.
I thought that when I was in Christianity, that I found the Holy Grail, and
Absolutely.
then I lost Christianity. I went into Judaism, and I thought, now for sure. No, not baby, not yet.
No, nope. And we haven't yet found the truth. Even when we think that we're at the truth, we're probably not even at the tip of the iceberg. We're probably on the top of the snow that's on top of the iceberg. And we just got to keep digging, and we got to keep pressing, and we got to keep our mind open to new
Hmm.
truth. I think that's the saddest thing with people that I see within our genre. They think they know, oh, I've got it. I understand it all. And that
Yeah.
shuts your mind to new truth. And we've just got to get to the place where we realize, wow, we don't know, and we really can't afford to reject any information out of hand. We should all be taken, it should all be considered, and we should offer that same consideration to each other, I would think, at least initially when someone brings new information to us.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even though I make videos on YouTube and I have 24,000 subscribers, if someone shows me something that, changes what I was saying and he's right, I'm going to take that video off. I'm going to change my mind about it. I have to be open because it's as you said, lots of truthers believe that they have, they found what they found, and that's what it is. And and no one can change their mind. And that's a sad reality, and that's also dangerous because it's like a cult. I never want to create a cult.
Absolutely. And David in the chat room has a nice quote. He says, "Don't drink your own Kool-Aid."
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't drink your own Kool-Aid. And we get so, we get so brainwashed to our own bullshit sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, even after I found, Judaism, I thought, like this must be it. This must be it. And then it was so good that truth was more important to me than my eternal life. So I was ready to risk it and look into the text and see that no, this is all bullshit as well, and it's full of contradictions. And then you go to the next step. You look at fake history, you look at the J and I, and it could be, this is an assumption at this point, that it's
Right.
I and J, and maybe a year later we'll come up with something else.
So where do you think that this discovery that history may well be faked, that there may be 1,000 years or more that have been hidden from us, stolen from us, added to, where do you think this type of spirit of inquiry and this type of fact finding should lead most people?
I think it should really lead people to question everything, as you said, because it's kind of like an exercise. We exercise our muscles, but we have to exercise our thinking, our brains. And just because you went to the gym and you have done your sets, it doesn't mean that you're done. You have to go next day as well, and the next day. It's never done. You're never done. You always have to work on it. So it's the same way. It may be that we will find out something else about I and J. That doesn't mean that we were wrong. Totally 100%. It just means that we went through the trail and then we kind of exercised the muscle of thinking. And that's a very good thing, because whatever we are getting from the media, from people, we are going to use that kind of system that we used to undo this lie.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's not always finding the truth. It's rather about undoing the lies and disinformation.
Absolutely. And I remember Tesla talking about, people say, how many times have you failed in this particular experiment? He says, well, I don't know that I failed any times. I just found different ways that it didn't work. So even our failures and what we think is something of a shortcoming, it's not. You learn something, and and if anything else, you've learned to actually think for yourself. You've learned to actually try something that you haven't tried before. You learn to actually do something that you haven't done before. And all of those efforts build strength. They build character. And I think they build divinity. They build sovereignty, and they build freedom. The person that is going to make it to the next life and have a fuller life here is not the person that sits on the porch and watches and criticizes. It's the person that goes out and skins their knee, the person that goes out and busts up their elbow, the person that does something and looks silly, but gets up and tries again.
That's a very good thought. Yeah, I like that.
Absolutely. Exactly. That's what we're here for, Barnabas. That's what your channel's about. That's what this channel is about. We're people out here trying. We're people out here questioning, and we're not content. And even if we get it wrong, the one sin that I know Barnabas, and sin is a funny word, but the one mistake I know Barnabas is not going to make, and the one mistake I'm not going to make, is the mistake of omission, the mistake of just sitting by and not trying.
Exactly. Or when you go out and do something and not admitting that you failed, or you did you didn't do it right.
Absolutely. But you found something else that wasn't what you're looking for, so you don't have to look there again.
Exactly. It's always just finding the next thing, and then it leads you to the next step.
Absolutely. So Barnabas, what are you working on now? What's your next step?
Oh, I'm working on different subjects. Last time I was really interested in the coronavirus news segment, because when people talk about viruses and bacteria, I always have a cringe feeling, because I went into the germ theory and I know what it is about. It's all about fear mongering, and it's just funny to see what the news media is telling us. So
Yeah, I'd love to talk to you about that sometime, because I don't have a lot of expertise in that realm, but I do just have this sense of all of this about the virus, and there's just a little thing in the little voice in the back of my head, Barnabas, and it's saying bullshit, bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you think that little voice might be right?
I think it might be right. Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful stuff. So we have barnabasnagy.com. We also have the Barnabas Nagy YouTube channel. Please do go and subscribe to the channel. Please do go and visit the website. And is there any other places that people can find out any more of your information, Barnabas?
I think they can find it on my website. It's on the connection, and listed all my social media and everything.
Excellent. Tracy Dyer says it's another Zika fear trap. And it's funny because I've been calling it, and Cynthia just rolls her eyes at me. I know it's not Zika, but I call it Zika because it's just another big fear mongering thing, in my opinion. And we'll see.
Yeah, exactly.
Time will tell. And, we're going to keep doing what we do. But Barnabas, I appreciate you for pressing through all of those early technical difficulties. And we certainly thank the folks in the chat room for pressing through the early technical difficulties. And it's sort of like what we're talking about. We had it trying to do a show, couldn't get it right. Well, let's just do it without the video. That would have been without the pictures. That would have been the easy way. But no, we pressed, we pushed, we changed platforms, and we got out some really, really good information. And I think that might be a little analogy for us that, just because things don't go right the first time, keep pressing, not only to just do it, but to do it right.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that's a beautiful idea. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with me, Barnabas, and taking me down that path, because I might have been one to just punt and say, oh, well, let's just do it without the pictures. But this is a good life lesson for me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And with that, Barnabas, we appreciate you for being here. I hope that you'll come back again. And we should come back and talk about germ theory sometime. That sounds great.
Yeah. Cool. Let's do that.
Well, we salute you all for being here, seeking after truth, for Barnabas Nagy of BarnabasNagy.com and the Barnabas Nagy YouTube channel. I appreciate you all for being here, and we look forward to seeing you again. Go to BarnabasNagy.com. Go to the Barnabas Nagy YouTube channel. Any last words of inspiration, Barnabas?
Oh, well, really just seek for the truth and don't give up. Don't settle. Don't settle.
Absolutely, I love that. Seek for the truth. Don't give up. And don't settle. For Barnabas Nagy, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower. Thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate your kind attention.
Welcome. See you guys.